Joining us this afternoon now, the Minority Caucus, among others, is calling on President John Mahama to remove Sam George as Communications Minister, or the MP must resign on the back of the impasse between his ministry and DSTV. The minister, who was a person for a 30% reduction in DSTV subscription fees, later announced an upgrade in packages. My colleague Grace Hamo-Ajiman is at the Minority Press Conference. She'll be joining us very shortly. But let's hear a bit of what one of the representatives, Charles Asuako-Oredu, who is actually deputy ranking on the Comms and Information Committee. Let's hear what he said earlier at the press conference.
By adopting an arbitrary decision-making posture, the minister is also denying regulators, such as the NCA, the opportunity to perform their work according to law, which clearly threatens the growth of this sensitive industry. His actions also signal a breach of the President's Code of Conduct that requires candor and respect to all persons. Fellow Ghanaians, for this display of ineptitude, incompetence, and penchant for deceit, we of the minority demand that 1. The minister render an unqualified apology to Ghanaians for the waste of the nation's time and resources on this venture. 2. We call on him to account for the fines levied on DSTV. And 3. We deem him unfit to continue as the minister for this strategic ministry of communication, digital technology, and innovation, and therefore call on him to resign, or for His Excellency the President to fire him. Thank you.
And you had Charles Asuako-Oredu, his deputy ranking on the Communications and Information Committee of Parliament, speaking a while ago at that minority press conference against the Communications Minister on the DSTV issue. And of course, we'll bring you more as in when we're able to get in touch with our correspondent. But sexual abuse and harassment in schools across Ghana remain a major threat to the country's education goals. Worryingly, many perpetrators are not strangers, but classmates, teachers, and even head teachers. Last year, the head teacher of Benkum Senior High School was interdicted for allegedly abusing 15 female students. Yet, enforcement remains weak. Survivors often hesitate to speak out, and when they do, responses are delayed, inadequate, or limited to simply transferring perpetrators instead of dismissing them. Just this week, the Ghana Education Service removed an assistant headmaster at KNUST Senior High School in Kumasi after he was caught in a compromising situation with a female student. The incident has renewed calls for harsher punishment to serve as a deterrent. Earlier, my colleague Godwin Asideba actually put together a report on this incident. Listen to this.
They want their wife to be somewhere else, and they will have their co-eds, the young girls that we teaching.
I can't remember who feel like Wakaya, my fin, or Yaya, my pointing, or the pound like more paisan.
A disturbing practice has persisted in Achim Asafo in the eastern region of Ghana, where some teachers make sexual advances toward female students. According to concerned residents, efforts to curb this issue has faced significant obstacles. A 15-year-old student, not her real name, fell into the trap set by her mathematics teacher at the Asafo Methodist Basic School when she was in junior high school 1. The teacher, in his 40s, had been making inappropriate advances toward her.
Open me form 1, busy form to like no man finish until you do form 3.
no so mommy attention like na me be so now so say na cash na.
And it had the excerpts of that documentary put together by Godwin Asiliba titled Stolen Innocence. Bright Opia is the Executive Director of Child Rights International. He joins us live on the line to share his perspective on how the system can better protect children in our schools. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Pia, if you can tell us from your monitoring how big this problem of sexual abuse and harassment in Ghanaian schools is.
Well, it's almost everyday activity that happens to children, to the extent that some children don't want to go to school or they have to conform to what is happening in the system for them to be able to fit in. So it's a widespread issue, and we need a broader discussion on it to be able to have a policy to address it. If not, children will have to endure such a system before they complete school.
Indeed, and one of the other problems is also that families and survivors do not want to come forward. Do we know why, and perhaps how this can be dealt with?
It is because we've not made the school environment friendly enough for children to report. And the worst part of it is that parents also don't make themselves friendly enough for children to work with them and report such matters. So they have become their own protectors. They have to find ways and means to be able to endure the issue. And that, for me, it isolates the child from society, and it makes education that's supposed to build them up as another avenue of punishment that they have to go through. Because day in, day out, they see those people who commit such offenses against them in the classroom, and they even stand before them to teach them and all that. And you can imagine all the psychological issues that they have to go through. So more or less, the system is isolating children, and they have to deal with issues internally.
Indeed, the system is isolating students, and that's where I'm going to, where teachers who have been accused most of the time are rather transferred instead of being punished or even dismissed entirely. You've just mentioned a bit about the system isolating children, but how big is it in terms of really the kind of picture that this system is portraying to us?
Well, the system, in most cases, when some of these things happen, we issue punishment on the basis of the professional code of conduct for teachers, which for me also has its own limitation in terms of how it can serve as a deterrent for other people. Because if the code talks about the fact that whatever the teacher does in relation to sexual activities is a breach of a professional code of conduct, for me, there's a limitation in that. The state itself must also begin to look at how best we can redefine the environment to introduce what I call the safeguarding policy, so that we can have a broader punishment for people who engage in those acts. Because it's not only the teacher who teaches in that environment. There are other people who also work in the environment that are non-teachers, and they also take advantage of children. So we need that safeguarding policy to clearly define a relationship that must exist between a student and a teacher and other persons that work within that environment. In that way, we can, beyond the professional code of conduct, we can also speak to the reality on the ground and how the state itself would develop a policy that would also protect children. So I strongly believe that we should not just take the code of conduct as a means of exercising what means of education must do, as a way of saying that they've done the best. But I think that the absence of a safeguarding policy is making it very difficult to really do justice to this particular matter. And for me, that is the disservice that we are giving to our children.
Ms. Apia, you talk about policy, but again, you look at the Code of Conduct, which was even something we talked about this morning on Midday. The policies are beautifully written, the Code of Conduct beautifully written. The challenge on the other side seems to be the lack of monitoring to ensure that what we've put on paper we're able to implement in our schools.
Yeah, you see, the code of conduct is a professional code of conduct, and it's purely administrative. So it is offense that you commit. But when it comes to safeguarding policy, you are addressing it from two fronts. You are looking at one from the child perspective, and then you're also looking at it from the teacher perspective, and then the kind of relationship. Because the code of conduct that they have is only looking at the issue from the teacher's perspective as a professional teacher. So there's a limitation from the word go. So if you'd want to base on that alone to be able to say that we have the laws in place, we will not be doing justice to the issue. And even that, there's a limitation as to what they can do. Because when it comes to the breach of a code of conduct, the highest offense that you can get is either you are dismissed or you are transferred from the school to another place.
Indeed.
So clearly, it doesn't really address those issues for us to even make the argument whether or not we have the instrument to be able to implement a social a code of conduct. And even if it's a code of conduct and we don't have the system to be able to implement it, then you can imagine how the state will run issues on safeguarding policy. So let's have an open discussion on this. Children are going through a lot. Where I said, issue that comes to me, sometimes if you're not careful, you will get used to it that it has become part and parcel of children. But it is also giving a certain behavior to children that in the future, if you're not careful, we're going to lose a lot of people, and they will not have emotions for other people when they are doing things against them. And that, for me, is a threat to our national development. So we should rather be interested in having a safeguarding policy that we can speak to, and we can develop mechanisms to ensure that we protect our children.
Thank you very much, Mr. Apia, for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And he had Bright Apia, he's Executive Director of Charles Wright International. Now, a tragic mining pit collapse in Kosotie in the Awtima Mponua district of the Ashanti region has claimed the lives of at least 5 people. The incident happened Wednesday night. Now, rescue teams led by NADMO with support from local volunteers managed to pull 8 others out alive. The survivors are receiving treatment at the Nyinahini Government Hospital. Let's speak to Ibrahim Abubakar, who joins us live on the line. Ibrahim, what more can you tell us about this unfortunate incident? Okay, we've lost Ibrahim Abubakar on the line, but some 13 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you more on this plus others. Stay with us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year, and Bill's Microcredit is here to support your dreams.
You're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Let's connect to Ibrahim Abubakar now, who joins us live from the Ashanti region. Ibrahim, we know that rescue efforts are still ongoing to ensure no one is left trapped as investigations continue. But what more can you tell us beyond this?
Well, so for now, when you get to the community, I'll tell you that the collapse has even sent shockwaves through the local community, highlighting the persistent issue of illegal small-scale mining, which continues to pose significant risk to human life. For now, the rescuers are still on the ground trying to see whether they will be able to get the 2 that are currently trapped, dead or alive. But like you rightly mentioned, 10 have still been recovered, 6 dead, 4 have been sent to the Nyinahini Government Hospital receiving medical attention.
And those receiving medical attention, do you know their condition, if you can tell us?
Well, we are told that they are in a stable condition because their injury was not life-threatening. But these individuals, the information we gathered, usually go to the mining site at night because of the intensified effort to clamp down on illegal miners. So morning, daytime, you will not find anyone on the site. But deep in the evening, then you find some of them there working. And some of the community members are even saying they do not know them in person. So apparently they had come from other communities or other areas to come there and mine illegally.
What more can you tell us about what the District Security Council, for instance, is doing about this?
Well, for now, they have even intensified the fight against Galamsey. They are even issuing warning to residents that whoever is found culpable or found engaged in that activity will be arrested. For now, they are focusing on the rescue effort, but after that, the information we are getting is that they will be intensifying the fight against Galamsey, because these are one of hard-to-reach areas, very remote areas. So the anti-Galamsey task force is unable to get to these communities every now and then. They'll go there today, they'll come back maybe in 6 months' time because of the location of these communities. So the DC and also the Assembly member and unit committee members have resolved to form a local task force within such communities so that they will be patrolling the area to ensure that no one will go back to those sites to conduct any form of illegality there.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's Ashanti regional correspondent and still on Galamsey. Farmers at Ahiniase in the Eastern region are calling for tougher action against illegal and irresponsible mining activities affecting their farmland. They say that the environmental pollution and destruction is not only cutting them off from their farms, but also making the produce unsafe for the market. Meanwhile, the concerned citizens of the Atiwa landscape are insisting that the government declares a state of emergency, citing widespread environmental destruction. Eastern regional correspondent Yvonne Nekwe has been speaking to the farmers and some key stakeholders. He joins us live on the line. Yvonne, if you can tell us how widespread the impact of these mining activities on the farms at Ahiniase is, and really the places and river bodies, how they are equally affected?
Well, this is across the Eastern region, we have 33 municipal and district assemblies. Out of this 33, observation is that 20 of the assemblies are having mining activities going on. Now, the Eastern region on a large scale has over 60% of the population into farming, small scale and large scale as well. All of these farmers, hundreds of them, are being affected by the mining activities. Now, what is more worrying is the research that and data that has been put out there. And so the farmers are worried that in as much as they are losing their farmland and arable land, that cannot be used to produce food again. Unfortunately, their produce may not be bought at the market because of the fear of the foreign materials or chemicals inside the crops that will be selling to the market. Again, already a number of them do not have the yield they do have before. And so it's a complex situation for them they are dealing with in the Eastern region.
Indeed. Aside from they urging the president to still declare a state of emergency, what again are they asking for?
Well, they're saying that beyond the president declaring the state of emergency, they believe that there should be tougher measures and implementations of the laws that are already available. Because if people do not have licenses or we are seeing them degrade their land for restricting to farmland, it means that they have to be hooked by the book. These are owners of concession. But unfortunately, what they are saying is that the police arrest individuals who mine on the field, but the owners of the concession are left unbooked by the police. Again, the river bodies, these are supposed to be mandated and taken care of by the Water Resources Commission, are getting destroyed by the money. But all of these agencies, unfortunately, do not have the political power. And so they are saying that beyond the state of the emergency being declared, the agencies should divert of political interferences and act accordingly to ensure that we don't lose the farmlands. Otherwise, we're having food security issues staring at us.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Yvonne Nekwe. She's our Eastern Regional Correspondent. Let's hear what the farmers actually said.
I'm even afraid, seriously, because if there has been a search that indicates that mining areas, the food crops over there is being polluted. Okay, look at where my farm is. When it rains, all this water passes through my farm. And I want to tell you, there are some of the plants here, they are dying, okay? And this one, it takes about 5 years. And I've just harvested it just 2 years ago. Okay, this is the second time I've harvested it. So I'm losing. Why? Because if they've started dying, am I going to harvest again? No. Again, you see the yield. This is not how it's supposed to grow. Meaning that it has been contaminated.
As a coordinator, concerned citizens of Awtima landscape, we manage 52 communities across the Awtima landscape, yes. And Awtima is blessed with 3 major rivers. We have Densu, Ayensu, and Brem. Today, we can confidently say that Brem is gone, has been destroyed. Ayensu and Densu, as we say, Densu is supplying water for almost 5 million people in Accra today. And if Densu is gone, how many people are going to be affected? Now we can say that Brem is also supporting communities around this Kibi and its environs. Today, as we see, about 2 months now, Brem is gone, and the Ghana Water Company is no longer able to produce water. The company has shut down, and that no water is being produced for the people over there. That is very, very sad. So, going to meet the president, we're going to paint this picture.
And I had some farmers at Ahiniase in the eastern region complaining about the impact of illegal mining on their farms. And in a related development, barring any last-minute changes, President John Mahama will meet a teeming number of civil society organizations, CSOs, numbering about 50, to discuss the menace of illegal mining. The meeting slated for tomorrow, Friday, the 3rd of October, at the Jubilee House, will include religious bodies such as the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Ghana Muslim Mission, and the Office of the Chief Imam. Civil society groups expected to attend are the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Eco-Conscious Citizens. Professional bodies such as the Ghana Bar Association, the Law Society of Ghana, the African Women Lawyers Association, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, and the Ghana Chamber of Mines have also been invited. Now, on the list as well are student bodies, including the National Union of Ghana Students. Other organizations invited the Institute for Democratic Governance, the Center for Democratic Development, and St. Ghana. The engagement would also give stakeholders the opportunity to share perspectives and propose solutions to help address the problem. Meanwhile, the Coalition of Northern Ghana CSO's platform on natural resource governance focused on environmental impact assessment is demanding government and traditional leaders to take active interest in safeguarding the environment, particularly by tackling illegal mining. Hajia Alima Sagito Said is the executive director of the association.
I'm even afraid, seriously, because if there had been a search, that indicates that mining areas, the food crops over there is being polluted. Okay, look at where my farm is. When it rains, all this water passes through my farm. And I want to tell you, there are some of the plants here.
We demand that our traditional leaders must take active interest in safeguarding the environment, particularly by tackling illegal mining in their respective communities. As land owners and custodians, they yield significant influence and power to protect natural resources for future generations. We demand that licenses issued for mining and agricultural zones and presidential areas, particularly in the Upper East region, be audited or stopped. We demand that the EPA should publish all environmental impact assessments conducted in respect of major projects on their website to ensure the proposed mitigation measures are complied with.
And you have Hajia Alima Sagito Said. She's the executive director of the Coalition of Northern Ghana CSO's platform on natural resource governance, focused on environmental impact assessment. Now, the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives Association has embarked on a demonstration to demand for the over 10 months unpaid salary arrears. The coalition, comprising over 7,000 registered nurses and midwives, argue argues that the government has failed to honor its obligations despite having the financial clearance. Joseph Armstrong Alogbe has more.
This is a group calling itself Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives. According to them, for the past 10 months, they've not been paid, hence the need for this demonstration. They've been to the Ministry of Finance. Currently, they are heading towards the Ministry of Health also to present a petition to the Minister of Health. Let me engage them now and find out why they've decided to take to the streets just 10 months after you were posted.
We are here as nurses and midwives that were duly recruited starting from July 2024. And we began working in December 2024. So we've been working since then for 10 months, yet we've not received our salaries. We were initially 13,500. However, the ministry claims that 7,000 of us have been paid. However, for the 6,000 of us that has not yet been paid, we are told our financial clearance has expired. Now we know that a budget of 48,707,353 was allocated for our recruitment and payment of our salaries. And since then, the finance minister, the current one, Mr. Atofos and Honorable, has read 2 budgets. And being aware of our plight, we were expecting that by now our salaries should have been paid.
What is that are you seeking now?
So we are seeking that the finance minister immediately renews our clearance. And then secondly, salary should be processed and paid in October in full. We are demanding what we are owed, not what we have not earned.
So we were home for 2 years without salaries. So now that we've started working for the past 10 months, not even a penny. I don't appreciate the fact that we are not getting our salaries. Since we are working, I believe that we are supposed to be getting our monies. It's our right. It's our right. We are entitled to it. So please,
Joseph Armstrong Alogbe filed that report. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. Nyako Ampem, says the NDC administration inherited a lot of legacy debts but promised to act on the concerns of the nurses.
The message I give them is what I'm giving to you, that your issue is being addressed. There are a lot of legacy challenges that we inherited, and we are working earnestly to fix all of them. In the next month or so, the finance minister will be in Parliament to present a new budget. Issues of health, workers who have not been paid, not just you. There are even some doctors and others are seriously being considered when you are going.
And you had the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampem. And we do apologize for that poor quality of sound. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on 3FM and 92.7. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.